We all love old video games, right? You have your Marios and your Zeldas, your fucking Unreal tournaments! They're all great, yeah? As time moves on, it becomes harder to play our favorite games. But that's where emulation comes in. Emulation is the act of emulating a game. Wow, no shit. Emulation has mainly been used for the archiving of older games. Games are art, and art deserves to be preserved, so we must preserve our games. For the past couple of years, a big debate in the gaming community has been whether emulation is legal or not, and if it's ethical. Well, don't worry. Pomperici is here to set this straight once and for all. A common argument in the emulation stratosphere is illegality. Is it illegal? Is it legal? Yes. The legality of emulation is a sort of gray area. On the one hand, it is illegal to emulate certain games. On the other, some are completely legal. A game like Super Mario would be illegal to emulate, but an absolute banger like Gilligan's Island is super legal. We're safe, boys. Gilligan's Island for the NES is legal to emulate. Let's say the game is protected by copyright, but you still emulate it anyway. That is in fact illegal. However, you can emulate through your copy of the game. If you own a copy of the game, you are free to play it on whatever platform you can. For example, you can load actual Wii and GameCube games through the disk drive through Dolphin. That's a completely legal way. This doesn't always apply though. PS2 emulators require a PS2 BIOS to run, and pirating a BIOS is illegal, so that method is a bust, unless you manage to copy your PS2 BIOS onto the emulator. Let's face it, you're emulating. You don't care about the legality. A neat trick about owning the game and emulating, you don't have to do the work yourself. You can own the game and just download a ROM, and it's 100% legal. If you want to emulate 24 the game, make sure you buy it first, or I will personally report you to the emulation police. We all know Nintendo's stunk in the 90s when it comes to their policies. They've been pretty vocal about other people uploading their content onto the internet. It got so bad at one point where a playthrough of a Nintendo game could get you with a copyright strike. In recent times, Nintendo has gone through YouTube and purged the site of any uploads of their music from their games. This doesn't seem like a big deal to some, but it's a complete slap in the face to the passionate members of the community who want to preserve these works of art. Their games are no different. While emulation is definitely a gray area, it does wonders for archiving. It just so happens that Nintendo's games are the easiest to emulate as well as some of the most beloved. Gamers have gone out of their way to archive these games as a sort of unofficial public domain archive for gaming. Nintendo, of course, doesn't like this at all. They'd rather let their old games rot forever. Original copies of old Nintendo games like Metroid and Earthbound are extremely hard to come by, and emulation has helped keep these games alive. For the most part, the only ways to play these games are through the eShop on the Wii U. We have no idea how long that will stay up, or through Nintendo Online. The problem with Nintendo Online is that their NES and Super Nintendo selection isn't broad enough and leaves out many games. While yes, purchasing a game from the Wii U eShop or buying Nintendo Online will put you in good standing for emulation legally, these methods are unreliable because Nintendo could change their mind on any of these in an instant, and your access to these games could be gone. Nintendo has shut down emulation projects to get you to buy their less than acceptable re-releases of these games. Just recently, 3 3D Mario games were re-released, but only for a limited time. Gamers had a choice to pay $60 for games that they have already played at a suboptimal quality or emulate them. The average gamer would probably choose to emulate them. Emulation is not only good for released games, but games not released in certain regions. After 30 years, the first Fire Emblem was officially translated and released on Switch. Never mind the time it was remade on the DS. This is a big deal. But Nintendo decided to spoil it with their idiotic time release. If gamers miss out on this, they'd have no other choice but to emulate it, or buy a Switch with a game already on the system. Imagine if Nintendo did this with Mother 3. Us Mother fans have been abused enough as it is. I'm not saying to go and emulate every game out there. If you emulate, please try to support the developer in some way. Innocent game developers and indie developers have nothing to do with the corporation's shitty management. Also, I'm not saying to emulate new releases either. That's just piracy. And if you want to enjoy it with enhancements that come with an emulator, buy the official release first. You never know. Emulating illegally might cost a promising game a sequel. Before I leave, Yes, I know Nero made a video about the same topic a year ago, and yes, I know our talking points are similar. The key difference is I'm not really focusing completely on Nintendo, I'm just talking about emulation in a broad sense and using Nintendo as an example of how emulation as a whole is being hurt. Anyways guys, we'll see you in the next video.
Okay, it's childish, can't be no homegirl, drop it like the NASDAQ. Move white girls like this coke up my ass crack. Move black girls, cause man, fuck it, I'll do either. I love pussy, I love bitches, dude, I should be running Peter in Adidas with some short shorts. B-O-O all over me, my green is where it's supposed to be. Your green is in my grocery. This Asian dude, I stole his girl and now he got that Koji beef. My dick is like an accent mark, it's all about the over ease. Hot like a parked car, I sound weird like nigga with a hard R. Fly like the